single week was we come in, play a great first half, blow the second half. Well, the script kind of flipped a little bit. Maybe that's what you would rather. Maybe what you'd rather a great second half or a pretty good second half to a pedestrian first half. We'll see. This is conference play starts. Everybody's kind of an equal-ish playing field when it comes to talent. Cal was a very talented team. They're a great team, and it was in Cal. We'll have to see. This is the game that will make him great because you do not want to go down 1-3.
Yeah.
You do not want to go down 1-3.
Now, kind of going back to what, everybody's saying, kind of packing it up. The defense, like you said, Garen, really showed up. I mean, Chase Garbers really had pedestrian numbers. 9 of 22, only 129 yards, only 1 touchdown. The leading rusher for them was Chase Garbers. He had 18 carries for 70 yards. That just shows you that the defense was getting after the quarterback. 6 sacks total. UNT overall had more yards, 329 to 278. But I think what really killed UNT overall was penalties. 9 for 105. Who are you going to beat? Who are you going to beat? And it's just UNT not being disciplined enough. They just can't get off to that fiery start. Again, being down 20 to nothing by the end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
By the end of the first quarter, that's way too much to come back. And yes, you're right. The defense only allowed 3 points, but in the second quarter, we only scored 3 points. Then the third quarter, 7 points. And the fourth quarter, 7 points. You can't win football games like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of Golden Bears fans were shocked at even the final scoreboard. I mean, a good buddy of mine, he goes to California, and he goes there, and he's like, I can't believe the game was even that close. We all thought we were going to be a blowout here. But by the end of the game, we were tense. We were on the edge of our seats like, oh, my God, are we going to lose this game? UNT looks like they can do this, but it just feels like they're missing something. What do you feel they're missing, Aaron?
The passing game. I think that's what they're missing.
Yeah.
I think they're missing a passing game, and I think that Mason Fine, like you said, Heisman voting's got to shut down because, he was up in the top 10 in the country of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and what has he done? He's put up very pedestrian numbers, just not quite up to par, 21 of 40, 210 yards. That is definitely not good enough. You have one receiver with over 100 yards in Jalen Darden. How dependable is that guy? He has some injury history issues. And so where's the passing game? The running game, you've had 3 different running backs come through. You've had Trey Siggers, you had Lauren Easley, and you have DeAndre Torrey. Yet none of them are quite being utilized enough. And neither one is there. I think the running game, it's probably they're probably in better hands with the running game, but passing game, man, that's missing a huge piece.
I think it's safe to say that this isn't the same kind of caliber team we were last year. I guess it's a credit to Jalen Guide and credit to Graham Harrell. They're both gone, and it seems this offense totally cannot function without them. So I guess they're really good at what they do. So now you really have to go in. This is coming into the 4th game. You really have to look at, is it the offense that's struggling? Is it Mason Fine not getting the new system? Or is it the new offensive coordinator that we hired? Is he not meshing with the system? Because Mason Fine was 21 for 40. That's not really a stat line we're used to seeing Mason Fine. He's normally more of a high accurate passer. Maybe that's the offensive line. Maybe he doesn't have the best of receivers. We don't know, but this is the time where we need to see Mason Fine. We need to see our leaders step up because, we're 1-2. And as you said, if we go 1-3, there's really not much to come back from when we hit that point.
Mason Fine plays very much to a Russell Wilson, Drew Brees type of play. Very precise. Rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. Get the ball out. Get the ball out quick. Reed's not there. Get it checked out. Very, very precise. And with that comes chemistry. Like you said, new offensive coordinator. Maybe that chemistry's not there yet. 21 for 40. That's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. So we'll have to see. Obviously, everybody, not new players, trying to replace some great talent on the offense side of the ball. It's the 4th game. Give some time. First, play 2 very talented teams, SMU and Cal. Give it some time. We'll see, and we'll continue to get better.
To kind of bounce off what Van is saying, this is very reminiscent of the 2017 season. I mean, they started off 1-2, and they faced off against SMU early in the season, got completely blown out of the water, and then their first Conference USA game was like this. It was the 4th game of the season, which they ended up winning against UAB. But we'll see what happens. But for right now, a former college athlete kind of criticized the game he loves. We'll have the details when we come back.
Hey, look, it's those guys.
Let's see those pearly whites, man.
Boys, check it out.
Ooh, cute.
Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Sir, go and step out of the vehicle for me.
Yes, sir. See ya, buddy. Today, Sean's got a hearing. We'll see how it goes. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
Well, former college quarterback and NFL quarterback Tim Tebow criticized a new law that was passed in California that college athletes would be able to get compensation from sponsors or anything with their name on it, and he greatly declined that bill, saying how it just ruins amateurism, it ruins the fun of the game, it ruins the family overall, and a lot of people really gave him backlash on Twitter. And Garen, I'm going to start with you. This is something that you really wanted to talk about overall.
Yeah.
What were your feelings when you heard what Tim Tebow said?
I think Tim Tebow is a privileged white man that's never had to struggle a day in his life.
Zoinks.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
Hot takes here at Meet Gameday.
I completely disagree with Tim Tebow here. He's never had to provide and never had to worry about his family having or being able to put food on the table for his family. He's never had to worry about not being able to make a bill payment for his family. I completely disagree with him. And you look at this. He grew up with a pool, a batting cage, a humongous house, and a roof over his head he never had to worry about paying a bill for. And what is he doing now? He plays for the MLB. He never played a day of college baseball. He has one of the biggest platforms to do for a broadcasting career, being on the SEC network, all due to him being one of the top college football players. Yeah, he maybe didn't make money being in college. Look at all the money he's making just because how good he was at Florida.
I mean, he was good overall. He's known as one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time. I mean, 66% completion, 9,000 passing yards, 88 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, won 2 national championships. At one point was the highest selling jersey, including over the NFL. That's how popular he was. Now, Jack, what's your take on it?
I'm definitely not as heated with Tim Tebow as Garen
He's so heated
is.
that the paper's
I'm
trying to get away
definitely
from
not.
him.
Off. I can see the steam off his head.
I can understand. I can definitely understand the viewpoint. He is one of the bigger names. He has made a lot of money in his lifetime. But I can see where he's coming from. You know, he's saying it'll ruin the team aspect.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
one player might be making more. There'll be locker
That's
room
fair.
conflicts, and it'll be more about me than we type of situation. So I can agree with him on that standpoint, but I personally believe that he's not right. I definitely think some sort of payment should be given to these players. As you said, Tim Tebow won 2 national championships. He had the most selling jersey in the NFL and NCAA. So definitely, if someone's buying your jersey, buying your name, wearing it to watch you, destroy your body,
the
destroy
players
your
should
life,
get the money
you
from
should
it.
get
True.
something
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that.
that
So
makes
I can see both viewpoints, but I'm definitely I'd lean more towards the disagree.
To steal a line from Childish Gambino, this is America. And in America, if you're really good at something, you deserve to be paid for that really good something. And capitalism, I wholeheartedly believe that. If I am really, really smart and I know how to code really well, I should be able to be paid for my coding ability. And that goes the same thing with college football players. If you're a very, 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 very good college football player, and companies feel like, hey, you and I, we can make money off of your ability, your God-given talent, then I believe that, yes, go for it. Now, Garen, I'm definitely not as heated as you, but I do agree with Tim Tebow in some aspects to saying, it could be, the selfishness could come, but like, this is America. You deserve to be paid for your talents.
Well, let me offer a solution here. Here's what you got to do. You give these players a stipend. Every college gives these players a stipend, whether it's $200, $300. Sure, these guys get their dorm and colleges paid for. But
See,
what
the
about
colleges, they're
what
not,
about
the
their
colleges aren't going
families
to pay
though?
for anything. It's
Well,
going to be outside companies, third
But
parties.
but you have to think these private schools. You don't hear too much of complaining coming from TCU kids or maybe kids over at Rice because they get these stipends
Because they're getting paid
that
already.
helps
Already
them
getting paid.
pay for their families that may be homeless or may be struggling with their kids, or maybe these players have kids of their own. I also think they should be allowed to have endorsement deals. What is the NCAA doing?
They're just being greedy.
Why can't they have their own shoe? I mean, if you're one of the best college football players, you got to think back. You got to think Jonathan Taylor right now, probably one of the top players. Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, these guys can have Nike shoe deals if they want, and NCAA shouldn't limit it to. I think that every college should at least give every player, whether it's $100 stipend, $200 stipend. I personally think it should be $200 to $300 to help support their family to start. I think that's an easy solution.
Oh, but they have scholarships.
Oh, yes, scholarships, where these
Scholarships.
players
Now-
can't even choose their major.
Now, real quick, let me be a devil's advocate here. Yes, giving money to college players would provide relief for families because growing up in difficult neighborhoods, they use it to try and find a way out because they want to make money for, to provide their families because they never understood that life. It would attract better athletes to stay longer in certain programs. We wouldn't really have like a Jalen Hurts situation or, a Baker Mayfield situation or something like that.
Yeah.
And like Tim Tebow said, the line between amateur and professional sports, it's starting to get it's starting to get blurred a lot now because a lot of people could just make a lot of money. Now it all depends on which college athletes get paid. Does the backup offensive lineman get paid like in the NFL? Like how does that work? Because then a lot of union stuff could happen when they start getting salaries.
You pay them all the same amount of money.
But here's the thing. But now let me get to this. The smaller schools would suffer because UNT doesn't have as much money as Alabama. So how is that going to work? If Mason Fine just wants to get a friggin' $10 million contract or something like that,
you have
he
to
would
adjust
lose.
it. You have to adjust it depending on how good these kids' abilities are.
Right.
I mean, if you're trying to compare.
But how would you judge that?
If you're trying to compare a UNT college athlete
Right.
to an athlete at Alabama, Tua Tagovailoa and Mason Fine together, obviously Tua Tagovailoa is going to be a better
But is
player.
it because he's part of a better program like Alabama when he gets the top recruits every single
Well,
year?
it could be that he had more talents. Now, I'm not saying Mason Fine isn't talented, but I think, personally, I think that every college will have their own stipend that they can pay for them. Now, whether that means increasing everyone's tuition, that's obviously going to infuriate
Relax
every single
with those
student,
students.
especially
Relax with those
like us,
students.
I mean, in debt. But you got to judge off of, say, an SEC school compared to a Conference USA. Yeah, they're going to get paid a little bit less than someone with as much recognition and revenue being brought in as Alabama.
Right. Well, I mean, overall, let's just take this away. It certainly is a conversation that is never going to die. This is definitely a conversation that will keep going generation on. So college,
There's no perfect answer.
because I mean, just now this new law passed just in California, so we don't know what's going to happen here in Texas or anything else. But let's move on since we're talking about the Mean Green. Recently, according to USA Today, UNT fan base was ranked the 24th best college town. That is unbelievable to hear. Now, this definitely, for me, in my opinion, because of Latrell and Ren Baker. Latrell came in late 2015. Ren Baker arrived in 2016. Honestly, I think it was a complete turnaround of UNT as a program. And Jack, I'm gonna start with you. Overall, how have Latrell and Ren Baker really changed this program overall?
I mean, you can see it from day one. I mean, the year before Seth Latrell even came here, we were 1-11. I remember my sister and my dad came here, so we would come down here for every homecoming, and I remember losing by 60 at homecoming. There was no one in the stands at our own homecoming.
Now, fun fact for everybody at home, after that game, 1 hour later, the coach
was fired.
An hour later after the
Shocked,
game.
man.
I've never heard of that
It
before.
was,
Man.
I mean, that was our lowest point that I've ever
Allowing
seen.
42 points a game.
It was not a good look for the team, and then you get Seth Latrell, and we make a bowl game the next year.
That's good.
You see the progress each year. You see we're breaking records for most attendance per year each and every year. Rim Baker unveils a plan for the whole athletic department where we're building facilities. We built our new indoor
looking really
facility.
good,
We built
yeah.
our new soccer stadium. So you see the progress being made. More people are coming. More money's coming in. We're getting better not draft class. We're getting better, prospects coming into our team. You see the growth coming, and then you see us ranked top are top 30 in the nation as a college town. I don't even believe that. I still don't
No.
think we are. But I can definitely see the progress we've been making since I've arrived. I mean, from year 1-11, and now we're getting mad at a 1-2 start. Now you've just seen the progression
times
each
have
and each
changed.
year.
Never thought that would happen.
Man, it's very different. But I'm not too high on it. I think we all think, obviously, Seth Luttrell, he turned the football program around. Yes, but like I said, Dan McCartney, the former head coach that y'all are talking about that got chopped, 22-32 is the record. Been there 4 or 5 years, I believe. Now Seth Luttrell going on, I think it's his 4th season now. He's 24-19. Sure, it's a better record, but also at the same time, you got to think, man, what has this guy really done? I mean, they go to a bowl game. Is that the goal, to go to a bowl game and lose? Go every season and losing 5-6 games? That's not good enough for me. I don't think that's what makes a head coach great. I think that he has fallen short of my expectations. Sure, it's Conference USA, but the fact that he still hasn't quite won the Conference USA championship, he made it to one. But from what I remember, and if I'm wrong, I don't remember if they won it or not a little bit before, but I don't think that he has reached expectations. I think that he's fallen very short, and I think losing 5, 6, 7 games and making a bowl game and then getting killed by Troy and then getting beat by, another low-name school you probably haven't heard of, that's not good enough for me.
I'm with Garen. I agree. With success comes expectations, and when you don't meet those expectations, your success is in question.
Same result every year.
It's in question. It's like, okay, you're doing all this, you're great. It's similar to a basketball analogy, the Houston Rockets. They've always had so many great regular seasons, and they come into the playoffs and they lay the egg. Like, and then you can question, like, okay, is this team really that good? Are they really because when you can win those big games, those games against Cal, those Conference USA games, those bowl games, that's when you
Yeah.
oh yeah, that team is legit.
That coach is good.
Y'all can do something. Like, every year is a new year, every week is a new week. Different players come through, different people come through. Seth Luttrell, he's definitely not the star everybody paints him to, but it could be worse. It was a lot better than before.
Well, look, here's the thing. I'm more with Jack on this because before Luttrell and Ren Baker came, we're talking about 1-11 seasons.
That's
Nobody would come to these games
There's nowhere
at
to
all.
go
Like,
but
nobody
up.
cared. When my sister graduated from here, she said nobody cared about the football program. It was a joke. And now that Ren Baker and them are here, it's just unbelievable. Dan McCartney, like you said, got chopped an hour after the game. The fact that we're winning and now we have expectations is good. The State of the Union address that President Samastrakak, they're having a winning culture. You can tell how they are. And they just had 39 new student admissions come. When was the last time UNT was taken this seriously? And the fact that we got over a $5 million investment from people that want to invest in our facilities, yes. Don't get me wrong. Yes, do I think Luttrell is underachieving in terms of bowl games? Absolutely. But going back to that Troy game, 3 injuries in quarterbacks. We were down to our 4th stringer, and then he ended up getting hurt. It's just a lot of unfortunate events because here's the thing. As UNT is getting better, the rest of Conference USA is starting to get better because people are starting to pay attention to Conference USA, and you want that level of competition. I think Ren Baker, with his recruiting process, keeping Luttrell here till 2023, and I kind of want to move on to that. If Luttrell's contract's up in 2023, do you think he'll be able to stay because he loves UNT overall? You see it on his Twitter, or do you think he'll finally move on to get maybe a better job with how much he's turned around this program?
I think he'll probably move on because that's just how college coaching works. But I think Ren Baker is amazing. You look back, and I know this is a football show, but you also got to thank UNT volleyball. They're outstanding. They've gone and won conference championships. Eric Palaleo has gone yards and yards in football references ahead of Seth Luttrell, and no one's talking about Eric Palaleo. And the volleyball team, in my opinion, has been way more successful than the UNT football team. But I know what your question is. I know Ren Baker is he's for real. Ren Baker knows how to hire. He brought in Seth Luttrell, brought in Eric Palaleo, and these guys have definitely turned around the programs. One question I have for all of y'all here, would y'all rather have Lane Kiffin as your head coach, or would you rather have Seth Luttrell? Quick.
Well, I'm definitely going to stick with Seth Luttrell. Lane Kiffin he's a figurehead, but then you look at Florida Atlantic, and they're awful now, so I'm definitely going to stick with Seth Luttrell. I'd rather have, if anything, Ren Baker's going to stay longer than Seth Luttrell does.
I'd rather consistency. I'm a guy of consistency. If I get 9-5, 9-6 every year in a bowl game loss, then hell, it's better.
I agree with Van. We love the consistency, but coming up, there's a special wrestling event right after the football game, and we interview those wrestlers next.
Listen. All it took was someone who would insist that I just try.
Suddenly, everything was turned around because they judge you.
You tell them, I don't need this.
No one is going to understand.
Unless they've been through it, how can they?
Then one day you realize
You feel so hopeless.
I need help. I need help.
You feel so hopeless.
Then one day you realize
Unless they've been through it, how can they understand?
I don't need this.
No one's going to judge you.
suddenly everything was turned around because they insist that I just try.
All it took was someone who would just
Listen.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. Gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Oh, no. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
Well, World Class Revolution is back with Saturday Night Lights 2, as amazing wrestlers will come and try to entertain the great fans here at North Texas. And I'm joined here today by some of the people hosting and being part of the event. Now, last year, Kevin Von Erich and his children were here to host the event. It was the first time ever a wrestling event was coincide with a football game, for a college football game. Now, I wanted to ask, why did y'all decide to come back to North Texas?
Well, this is the man with the plan. This is the man that has very foresighted in professional wrestling. First of all, it's Saturday. We're in Dallas. It can't be better than this,
absolutely.
football and wrestling. And you mentioned the Von Erichs. This man in the end, a Hall of Famer. I don't have to tell you, he's one half the greatest tag team in the world, the Road Warriors, Animal. And I used to come in Texas quite a bit with the Maniac Mark Lewin, and I had some scores to settle with the Von Erichs, and the Von Erich family is a legendary name, and he's tied it all together in one bundle.
I think, man, you know, entertainment, it is entertainment, whether it be wrestling, whether it be sports, and in all honesty, wrestling is a sport. And for us to come in and last year and have the success that we did, you know, we broke the attendance record last year, and we hope it's just as successful today. You know, different cast of characters today, but nonetheless, some of the best that wrestling's ever seen, one of the best wrestling minds. Like he said, one half of the greatest tag teams. You know, it's a blessing to be back here, and it's hopefully something we continue to do every year going forward.
And it's always great to be back in the great state of Texas. What a beautiful day for football. And, you know, anytime we got the chance to wrestle in the great state of Texas, whether it was Austin or San Antonio or whatever, man, the wrestling fans here, the sports fans in general, football and wrestling is what Texas is known for, man. So
Passionate.
Passionate, bro. Passionate fans. Great to be here, man, at North Texas State. Can't wait to see a good football game today.
Hey.
Somebody's butt's going to get kicked for sure.
Somebody's butt's going to be kicked. It's going to be San Antonio for sure. They've
Hopefully,
only had a football
hopefully.
program for like 3 or 4 years, right?
I mean,
and they're being coached by Oklahoma's own Seth Luttrell.
I mean, with you guys here, I'm definitely think the football team's going to get energized
Well, let me
here.
tell you something. As much as I just said about how great this guy is at the end, he has to take a back seat to his son. You know that. His son is the all-time sack for the Rams.
Wow.
He did it in 7 years.
That
He
is
broke the record.
unbelievable.
Yeah. James Laurinaitis, one of the greatest linebackers, going to end up in the Hall of Fame like his dad. So, I mean, there is a line that runs through wrestling and football going back to Gus Sonnenberg, the guy that flipped the coin toss for I think it was Super Bowl 45. Bronco Nagurski was
Right.
the world heavyweight champion. So there is a tie-in between pro wrestling and pro football.
And kind of sticking with y'all said about Texas, you look at all the greats that have come out of Texas, The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Von Erichs, Freebird, Shawn Michaels. Overall, where do y'all rank Texas in terms of wrestling towns? I know Canada's crazy, Chicago's amazing. Where would y'all put Texas on that list?
You know, man, I tell you what, you know, and you got the Funks too, you know.
Absolutely.
You got to get the Funks, you got Brody, you got Stan Hansen too, another name. You know, for a long time there, man, you had 3 states were putting out wrestlers. You had Florida, Minnesota, and Texas. Texas for a long time was the king of the hill. And then Minnesota started coming up a little bit, and then Florida, I think, was running third. But, you know, there's a great correlation between football, because every one of the guys you mentioned played football, and with pro wrestling, right? So there's a lot of great guys that, you know, made it to the NFL, you know, Goldberg, JBL, just name a few. You know what I mean? So the respect we have for each other between football and wrestling is second to none. So that's why when Jerry asked me here on behalf of World Class Revolution to come out here, I said, are you kidding me? Football? Man, I love college football. I think Kevin told you my son played at Ohio State, you know.
He loves it because he didn't have to pay for his son's tuition. He got
so man,
a big
it's
time
awesome,
scholarship.
man. College football just gets your blood going.
It does, and we all know that Ohio State cheated Miami out of a national championship in 2002. We know that, but we're not going to talk about that right now.
Yeah, but you know what? That year the Miami Dance Line played, so it wasn't hard to beat them.
Bottom line is that Texas is at the forefront of wrestling talent, and they have been for decades, and it'll continue to stay that way. There's a lot of great talent that come out of Texas, but right now, wrestling in general is producing so much great talent. And, you know, it's my honor to work with these guys and for us to put together our own vision and a product that we think is going to be something that everyone's going to enjoy as it continues to evolve.
And kind of sticking to that, wrestling overall is growing. I mean, you look back in the 80s, the 70s, I mean, it was still getting big with Hulk Hogan, and now it's like everybody has their own wrestling promotion. Kayfabe, they're kind of talking about is basically, you know, non-existent now because the crowd is basically in it now. Overall, how has it changed overall in terms of planning a show, in terms of being in the ring? How has it changed overall trying to adapt to the crowd to make them more into it?
Well, you know, it's gotten so much bigger because of the social media.
Absolutely.
If we would have had so much social media today, brother, I wouldn't be able to sit here. I mean, seriously. I mean, if we were as popular as we were with social media, we would have been through the roof, crazy. You know, but it's changed also for the good and bad. But the good thing is for the wrestling fan that the wrestling business is on the rise again. You got companies popping up. You got companies that are getting TV stations now, and everybody is starting to get back into the wrestling scene. You know, and I think you know, everything comes around full circle. When you come back around to old school, you know, storylines, and you start coming back to basic, you know, staying in your lane and getting back to basics, that's what the people love. That's what the wrestling fan loves. You know, and I think what's the greatest thing about Revolution here is that they're going back to basics. You know what I mean? They're going back to old school storylines, and that's what the wrestling business is based on, and that's what it's always going to be based on.
I just want to add one thing, and what Jerry's done is tonight, UFC Hall of Famer Stephan Bonner, the guy that saved UFC, is here on the card. So there is a mingling of wrestling and UFC along with football, so it's going to make a great package because if you don't evolve, you die. You're a dinosaur.
Well, I'm sure you've heard the saying, too. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it.
And the wrestling philosophy was never broken. At its core, wrestling is good versus evil. And wrestling is, they're built on characters that you can emotionally invest in. And that's what World Class Revolution delivers to you. And, you know, we deliver a family-friendly product. And at the end of the day, you know, social media does play a huge part in what goes on. But you should use your social media to spread love, not negativity. And you should be able to use your ability to reach the masses and to have a voice that you didn't have before for all the good in the world and to spread love and diversity amongst everyone.
And definitely sitting here, unfortunately, we got to wrap it up here. Thank you all so much. I was getting a rush. Ooh, wow, what a getting a rush.
Can we get one?
What a rush! Go North Texas!
That was awesome. Thank you all so much. Good luck on tonight's matches. Reminder that Saturday Night Lights 2 is after the football game, so be sure to go there. And also featuring the first annual Mean Green Rumble, so very exciting here. But next up, Mean Green Roadrunners. We preview next.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly. You're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Hey? God, no?
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
He's been a menace all day for the UTSA defense. Fine, gonna chuck it downfield. And it's caught! Caught by Lawrence. Here comes pressure. Fine got hit, throws it and it's caught. Bussey Jr. has space to the 10-yard line, and he's gonna take it into the end zone. North Texas scores with 10 seconds left to take the lead.
Well, here we are. We are about 45 minutes away, I'd say, till kickoff. It's a really amazing time right now. And as they're going to face off against UTSA, the last time these two teams faced off was last year, where Mason Fine decided to put on the Superman cape and decide to go, you know what, guys, let me take care of this. A 98-yard drive for a touchdown. It's now dubbed here in UNT as The Drive, kind of John Elway-esque. Now, Garen, I'm going to start with you. How do we match up with UTSA?
I think UTSA and UNT are just about the exact same team. Both have struggles offensive-wise in the passing game. You know, UNT has one receiver with over 100 yards with 3 games. UTSA has no wide receivers with over 100 yards. Offensive-wise, they're the exact same. Defensive-wise, linebacker Andrew Martell for UTSA, he's a straight killer. He's got 17 tackles on the season. Obviously, that doesn't sound like the most amazing stat out there, but leading tackler, obviously their best player. But they got a guy with 3 sacks. They can rush the passer, so it's going to be a rough outing, more than likely, for Mason Fine in the passing offense once again. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe they can get that running game going with DeAndre, Torrey, and Lauren easily.
Fun fact about the drive, I was actually at the game, but unfortunately I was in the bathroom, so I missed most of it. I was there for the touchdown, but I was in the bathroom for the beginning of it. But you look at UTSA.
I hope you got done. Hope you finished
I definitely finished a little early, but we go in. We look UTSA. We're both 1 and 2. Incarnate Word. They beat Incarnate Word, one of the lower tier teams. They're FCS. They're one of the lower teams. They handled their business against them. But then they run up against Baylor. They get absolutely smacked by Baylor. They run up against Army. They fare better against Army, but they indeed get smacked by Army. So we're both the same record. We're both 1 and 2. We both have had our struggles in the past couple weeks. And then, as you said, we do kind of match up against each other well. They don't have the best of receivers. I mean, we don't have the best of defenses. They don't have the best of the defenses, but we have a pretty good offense. So, you know, they kind of equal out. They kind of mesh out. You were talking about some of their defensive players that were the players to watch. I'm going to go with their quarterback. You know, he doesn't have the most yards. He doesn't have the best of stats, but he does have a high completion percentage. UNT doesn't have the best of secondaries this year as they did last year. So there'll definitely be – this might be a shootout, and then you go to their running back, Sincere McCormick.
He's a beast.
He is a beast. He averages about 6 yards per carry, so it's definitely going to be a bang-bang game. I do think UNT wins, but it's going to be one of those shootout games.
Yeah, big plays are definitely going to be big in this game. And you look at UTSA, both of their losses very similar to UNT, just as both of you guys alluded, to our more talented teams, perhaps teams that are better, teams that are maybe headed in a better direction than UTSA. But regardless, their quarterback, just like you mentioned, Jack, Frank Harris, he's the 13th best, according to the stats, he's completing the 13th most 13th. He's 13th in the nation completion percentage. I don't know why I can't talk. But
That's a tongue twister, right?
yeah, for sure. 72% completion percentage. He's really, like Jack said, it's going to be about big plays. Big plays, big plays, big plays. Now, UNT had 2 turnovers last week. That's going to be the key. Who can take the ball away and give it to their offense? UTSA's offense is UNT's offense trending down, but let's hope it looks like they're going to go up. They have another week to take a deep breath. They're back home. We'll see a great game tonight.
Now, looking at UTSA overall, 0-1 on the road. Head coach Frank Wilson took over in 2016. In 2016, 6-7, yeah, but they did make it to a bowl game. They ended up losing in the New Mexico Bowl, but they seem like they've really digressed overall. In 2017, 6-5, and now they're 3-9. In 2018, they were 3-9, and now already 1-2. It's kind of like the opposite of what North Texas has done. Instead of going on to do better things, they're kind of regressing into even more rebuild mode. Now, looking at Frank Harris, like you said, 73% completion, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Their running back, he's actually pretty decent, 188 yards, about 5.5 yards per carry, a little bit more, 10th ranked offense. Now, looking at the other side, Mason Fine, 61% completion. Not bad for Mason Fine. He's done better. 7 touchdowns, but I just feel he's turning over the ball way too much. 3 interceptions. He needs to turn that down. Overall, do you think the run game with Trey Siggers is more important, or do the wide receivers need to show up?
Man, that's a tough question because
that's why I asked it.
I think that
we ask the tough questions here.
I think wide receiver needs to show up the most because college football in general, it is an air raid type game. I think if you can't pass the ball, you're not going to win. It's just simple as that. And I think that's it's not old school football anymore. It's not ground and pound. Now it's who can air it out the best. You look back and that's not always the answer. You got to look at Texas Tech and they still can't win and they put up 600 yards a game. So there's sometimes that formula doesn't work, but wide receivers definitely have to step up.
Yeah, it's funny. We all have said that this game will be a shootout, but ESPN actually has us as a 17.5-point favorite today. So I'm definitely the running game or the passing game. According to ESPN, it doesn't matter. We can just go out there and we'll win by 18 points. But I do think it comes down to the passing game.
I'll take
Mason
the under
Fine doesn't have. He was 21 of 40 last week, and we lose. Trey Siggers almost had 100 yards. You go to the game against SMU, Trey Siggers actually was pretty much our offense going into the final quarter of that game. So definitely if Mason Fine is Mason Fine and goes back to the 6forheisman.org caliber player we know he is, then this game shouldn't even be a problem. But now since he hasn't been performing to that caliber, 3 interceptions this year, something that we haven't normally seen, that's why, we're kind of in that, what's going on mode.
Yeah.
We're kind of in that sort of if we lose panic mode. So I definitely think it leans more towards Mason Fine than it does the running back.
For sure. I think you go with what you know. UNT, under Seth Luttrell with Mason Fine, has been a pass first, run second offense. Keep him honest with the run, throw the ball all over the yard. You have to go with what you know. And Mason Fine is a fantastic quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You've got to lean on him. Now, the running backs, obviously they have to perform.
They have to pick one.
Yeah. And it's exactly. I mean, there are committee backs, it works.
Yeah.
But you need that guy to say, okay, it's 3rd and 2. Throwing it may not work. Who are we giving the ball to?
Yeah.
That's what they're lacking. And it's those little plays, those little 3rd and 2 at the 42-yard line. We have to end up punting or kicking a field goal. They end up losing the game, losing offensive momentum, losing the rhythm. So I would love to see them pick a running back, Mason Fine, get his guns under him, get his guts ready, because this is a prove-it game. He's been playing kind of mediocre to his standards. This is a prove-it game for him and the entire offense.
And I want to keep piggybacking off of that because you think, they're switching out these 3 running backs. You had Lauren Easley, amazing start last season, tears his ACL. DeAndre Torrey takes over for him. I mean, I can kind of consider Nick Smith out of the equation. But then you go to DeAndre Torrey. DeAndre Torrey, amazing, put up nearly 100 yards every single game. And now you have Trey Siggers getting involved, and they're switching these guys out. Sure, it's great to have a 3-headed monster at the running back position, but also that's going to really mess up the chemistry among the offense. And there's one guy or maybe 2 guys that are better pass protectors. Maybe one guy's a better in-between the tackles runner. So far, they haven't proved who's who. I mean, they're switching all these guys out, and this is messing with the chemistry for sure.
Kind of bring everything back full circle. And just real quickly, we'll get to keys to the game. And my key to the game for UTSA is get to the QB. You pressure Mason Fine, you got North Texas against the ropes. Overall, UTSA's defense is ranked 5th overall in Conference USA, which is actually really good for a team right now that's 1-2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little surprising for me. And then you look at for UNT, they got to run the ball. Yes, their defense is good, but they are dead last in rushing defense. Trey Siggers is probably going to have a field day today. I think we might have a breakout game from him. So I think overall Trey Siggers needs to win. Now, real quickly from all of you, I circled a word here, confidence. Will a win here bring back UNT's confidence?
Ah, man. No.
I'm going to go with the more of it depends on who you look at it.
Exactly.
Mason Fine goes out and he throws for 400, 500 yards and absolutely runs over. Then the confidence is back. But then if it's one of those 24 to 21 games
it
that we see, then there is no confidence. You're just looking.
See consistency. I want to see consistency.
Yeah, you
Every
want to
single
look
drive,
and look at the line.
I want to see a positive, like something like, okay, yeah, I'm good with that. That's positive. A positive net game. I don't want to see touchdown, punt, touchdown, punt. No, you need 3, 4, 5, 6 drives with some type of point production. Then we will say, okay, they're consistent. They're getting the calls in and out. Guys are getting out of their breaks. Mason Fine's getting the ball out quick. The offensive line's blocking well. I want to see consistency.
Well, a win here overall would leave them still undefeated at home. They're 1-0 at home, looking to make it 2-0. But coming up in our final segment, we are picking the games for tonight's matchup. Don't go anywhere. We do that next.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. Gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
How's your hair? Is it pretty? Daddy. It's pretty. Maybe I'll sit
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. She's so loving. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew right then that she was special.
Well, here we are, the final block of Mean Green Game Day, but still we have a lot to go over. We're predicting some games right now, and let's start off with Nevada at UTEP. They're playing right now at the Sun Bowl right now. Now, overall, Garen, who are you going to take here? Well, let me start here. Last time they played was in 2002. That's a long time to go. To put that in perspective, back in 2002, Conference USA, Texas Christian and Cincinnati were conference champions.
Yeah.
Wow. And I was 3 years old, so how about that? Jack, you were probably like 30.
Yikes.
Now, overall, I'm going to take Nevada. I think Nevada's just looking good right now. UTEP lost their top running back. Nevada's just in a better situation as UTEP is trying to work 2 QBs. I'm taking Nevada.
I'm going to go ahead and take Nevada, too. Here's my reasoning. It's very difficult to understand. It's a Conference USA team going against a Mountain West team that's bigger. Conference USA, they almost don't stand a chance to any team outside of Conference USA that might be an upper echelon. Whether it's a conference right above, I don't even know outside of that SMU game if they can beat either of any team on the American Conference. So I'm taking Nevada.
And first off, I definitely want to give props to this band that's playing. I've been just moving and grooving over here the whole time.
Champion, shout out
But
to them.
Nevada versus UTEP, talk about a game that I could literally not watch and be completely
Oh, no.
okay with.
No.
But I'm going to go with Nevada. They're a 13.5-point favorite. UTEP, they're just not a very good football team. Nevada, I'm not going to say they're one of the most capable teams, but you know they're the upper echelon Mountain West team. So I'm going to have to go against the El Paso UTEP and go with Nevada.
I'm with you guys. I got Nevada. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I believe his name Malik Henry. I think he played for Last Chance
He
U. I love
does.
that
He
show.
was there.
Shout out to Last Chance U. But you know, Nevada, they're a little bit more talented. UTEP has never really been a powerhouse in the Conference USA. I have to go with Nevada.
Love to Colin Kaepernick's former school.
Oh, good job here as a clean sweep here. Let's see if we can change that up as this next matchup. I am very much looking forward to it. The Oklahoma State Cowboys taking on the Texas Longhorns at UT. Cowboys have topped Texas in their last 4 meetings, 7 of the last 9 overall. Looks like the Cowboys have just owned the Longhorns overall. Texas right now on paper is the betting favorites, and they look like the better team overall. Tom Herman says this is like a scene from Armageddon, and Oklahoma right now has the nation's leading rusher. That may come into play. But I think Sam Ehlinger can pull this off. I am definitely taking UT here. Right here.
Oh, man, no. Horns down on this one. UT, they have so much hype, but like I said last show, they only play to beat Oklahoma. That's it. That's it. So much hype. Sam Ehlinger, he's a great quarterback. You know, he's probably going to be drafted. He's going to be like Colt McCoy and be a backup in the NFL. But going against the Denton local former Denton Ryan quarterback Spencer Sanders, this guy is absolutely amazing. 622 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. This is his first year starting. And you pair him with Chuba Hubbard, 521 yards, 7 touchdowns, over 7 yards per carry against a Texas team that has really struggled throughout the season so far. Yeah, they're ranked. But really, isn't Texas always ranked and then they always fail and never meet expectations? I mean, it's going to be the same story. Oklahoma State, by far, you got to put the guns up on this one.
So if y'all know me, I have quite the disdain for Texas.
I couldn't tell.
It's okay, I do too.
I hate
couldn't really
Texas.
tell.
Boomer guys.
But I'm actually going with Texas this week. You know, or
Okay.
Oklahoma State, they're 3-0. Texas is 2-1. But you look at Oklahoma State, they played Tulsa, they played McNeese State, and they played Oregon State. Yes, Oregon State is not the worst team in the world. Tulsa's not the worst team in the world, but they're not a Texas caliber team. So Oklahoma State's 3-0. What are they going to do? Texas has already faced a very good team in LSU. They know what it's like to get punched in the mouth. They know what it feels like. They dropped, almost 40 points on a ranked LSU team, top-ranked team. So Oklahoma State going into Texas, what is it? No team has punched them in the mouth yet. What are they going to do to respond to getting punched in the face? Sam Ehlinger, they score. How are they going to respond? I'm just going to go with Texas simply because I don't think they've played the caliber of Team Texas yet.
I got Oklahoma State. I mean, Tyler Wallace, one of the best receivers in the country, maybe you haven't heard of.
Yeah.
And the Texas corners are an issue. I think that's going to be the Oklahoma State receivers and the Texas DBs are going to be the X factor. And then Chuba Hubbard is a monster.
He's a beast.
I mean, this guy is a beast. I looked up, looking at the ESPN, he had like 250-plus yards rushing. I was like, what? Huh? He had how many? So I got Oklahoma State. I think they're playmakers. The defense, we'll see about that defense. Those two defenses are going to be the X factor, but I have Oklahoma State.
All right, well, what I took away from that is that Garen truly hates UT overall. But now let's move on to Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They're at Georgia to take on the Bulldogs. This is a matchup I know my good friend Nick Lalpius is looking forward to. At Sanford Stadium, both teams right now are undefeated. Notre Dame surprised everybody last season, making it to the top 4, making it to the playoffs. People were really surprised about that. Yet they're still being underlooked overall. But Notre Dame, they're allowing 461 yards per game on defense, 5 yards per attempt. I think Georgia is just too much for them. Georgia's going to get back to what they do best, winning, and Notre Dame's going to go back to what they do best and just kind of falling out of the spotlight.
Yeah.
So I'll take Georgia.
So I'm just going to do this, okay? This is Notre Dame.
Ooh.
This is going to be the result.
Whoa.
You're littering.
They're
yeah,
garbage.
Man, go pick that up.
They are garbage. Georgia all the way. Jake Fromm, DeAndre Swift. Notre Dame can't even choose a conference. they're a joke.
All right, Jack, I got to go pretty quickly here.
I'm definitely not going to throw mine. I've never seen, in all of my years, I've never seen a 3-team playing against a 7th-ranked team and being a 15-point favorite. I've never seen that in my life. I'm going with Georgia. Notre Dame's, I'm not going to say is a joke, but I'm definitely throwing away the Irish Spring deodorant. I'm going with Georgia.
Let's go Georgia. Georgia's a better team overall. Notre Dame is good players. Georgia has great players. Georgia wins. It's going to be closer than people think, but I got Georgia.
All right, real quickly, let's go to this next one. Nebraska Cornhuskers at Illinois. Simply put, I'm taking the underdog. I'm taking Illinois.
I'm taking Illinois as well.
I'm going Nebraska. Talk about another snoozer. I'm just going Nebraska.
I like Nebraska. Their quarterback, Adrian Martinez, is a really good player.
And here we are at our final matchup, UTSA at UNT. You're hearing the marching band behind us. I think we got to quickly pick these games. Overall, I think UNT is going to pull out another one, but it won't be that close. UNT is going to have a blowout win.
No, UNT all the way. I think it's going to be very close. That's why I don't think we're going to have that confidence after this game. But it's definitely going to be a close one. UNT is going to pull out the dub, though.
It's a little difficult to hear y'all, but I'm definitely going. I'm going UNT. I'm going by 2 touchdowns. It's going to be closer than it looks, but I'm going with 2.
You know, it's a tough game. Oh, no, it's not. It's UNT.
Oh, he's going to give it. Here we go. We're going to see it again.
Throw it.
And we are.
Hey.
Scrappy is going on.
Yeah.
He's a little weathered, but it's all right. Well, the marching band is definitely here, and I'm definitely going to enjoy it here. UNT trying to get back on track. Thank you so much for joining us. To follow us on YouTube, go to NTTV Sports. For more information about North Texas Television, go to NorthTexasTelevision.com. Thank you all so much. We're going to enjoy the game because this has been Mean Green Game Day.
Shedding. It's shedding on me. Oh, my gosh.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need